Happy Wednesday, people.
Happy hump day.
Welcome to the Kris and Gina Relationship Show. Today I'm going to play the part of Kris the Critic, and you can play the part of Gina B.
It will be an award-winning
It is.
night.
We're going to have a sip. This isn't what it is, but it's National Sangria Day.
This is not sangria, but I'll take it.
Toast to you as well. It says apple juice and wine, form of sangria.
Apple juice. That's what we're saying.
Right, as I put more Coca-Cola in it. Listen, folks, last week we had a super show.
We did. We had a fantastic show.
The title is called Is Feminism Destroying Relationships and Marriages? Obviously, when you talk about women's rights with the injustices that have been done for women for thousands of years, folks get a little bit triggered. But you got a guy like me on the show who just likes to keep people honest. You ever seen folks who say racism is racist all the time? A lot of times it is, but sometimes
it's not.
bruh, it ain't. So,
Yeah.
similar type thing, right?
Right.
So we're going to have a good show. We have some very smart folks. Before we bring them on, you want to watch a video?
Yeah, let's watch a video.
We're going to watch a video. Let everybody know.
It'll be triggering.
A little bit triggering.
Jake, can we
Watch
see the
video.
comments? Can we make it so we can see the comments? Thank you.
What exactly you've seen when you said that is an example of toxic masculinity.
Men feeling that they need to dominate spaces physically and speaking over women.
Were you a toxic feminist when you interrupted me when I was on stage?
No, I was interrupting.
I'm just asking because you're saying that somebody interrupting someone is now a symbol of toxic masculinity. You just interrupted me on stage, so are you a toxic
I wasn't
feminist?
interrupting you because I didn't.
You went, bull!
I didn't interrupt you because you're a woman. I interrupted you because I didn't believe what you were saying.
Like, you get what I'm saying is that you're coming up with terms, and sometimes people just interrupt. I'm fine with the fact that you interrupted me. It happens all the time, and I'm not holding that against you. I'm just using it to prove a point that you've created an entire concept around when men interrupt women, but you literally just interrupted me, and you don't identify as yourself as a toxic feminist.
The fact that you're a woman is completely irrelevant to me.
But maybe it's irrelevant to men as well when they interrupt people. What they determine to be freedom to me looks like misery, right? We don't need men. We don't want men. Actually, you do need men. Like, actually, we cannot pretend physically like biology exists. Like, this is not a good platform to have abolished men. Like, we don't want any more men. I hate modern feminism. Feminism has been radicalized, okay? Make no mistake. This is not the feminism that appeared in the 19th century when women had actual issues and we weren't allowed to vote and we did not have equality in society. This is not what this is, okay? Feminism today is a means to demonize men. It has nothing to do with women, actually. It has everything to do with men. It is the practice that women are victims, and it is the practice that women can use their victimhood to take down men, okay? The ideas that they perpetuate are absolutely ridiculous. And they get on a platform, oh, strong women, we don't need men, we don't need to get married. Look at the results and the numbers of what happens when you remove men away from their children and away from other women, okay? The movement has become so radicalized, and the only way for people to actually pull it back is to just let it burn. I'm not a feminist. I don't need to be a feminist. There's nothing that they're fighting for that I agree with anymore. Yeah. These radical feminists who make this a problem, right? Who everything, it's now Me Too. You look at me, you find me attractive, I've been Me Too'd, right? You're Me Too'd. If you said a joke that was, maybe a sexual nod or something, said that I looked good today, right? Or sexy today, you're now Me Too'd. The other side of that, though, is that what you're doing is you're turning men sort of into this tail in between the legs dogs.
They're trying to emasculate
men. But the biological underpinning of this is very interesting, is the feminists don't want that. Go out and be like men, be the most productive that you can be. You should want to work for the next 50 years, provide for your family. You shouldn't do it without a man. Adopt a child. You shouldn't want to pursue marriage. Marriage is bondage. And that's pretty much the scam of and the myth of feminism, right? But at their core, I think all of these women are running around thinking that they just want men to see them, but men don't want these radicalized women that are saying, if we have children, I'm going to let them pick their gender.
We now have the social scientific data. Since second wave feminism, since the 1970s, women have become less happy. Not just relative to men, which is also true, but in absolute terms. And the left is shocked by this. They say, no, but now women have all of these new ideologies. Right, and it's making them miserable. Maybe something's wrong with that ideology of feminism.
Ooh.
Good old Candace. Good old Candace.
And the funny thing is, I don't even like Candace, but I can separate the messenger from the message. Many people cannot.
I got cut off of Facebook once for calling her Kundus.
Hey, listen, I don't. You know, I normally don't.
Yeah.
Someone sent that to me. I said, "Oh, good video." Let's bring in some guests.
Yeah, let's bring in some guests. We have some really wonderful people that we are going to be talking with today. We have a married couple, Willie and Latoya are there.
Black
and
love,
then we
love.
also have one of my old dear friends, Nicole, who is joining us from the other side of Chicago. Willie and Latoya, where do you live?
We live in southeast suburbs of Atlanta, Stockbridge, Georgia.
Oh, okay. So
Man,
you're in Georgia.
I wish I lived somewhere warm. It's horrible here.
Is it that warm there right now?
Pray for us.
It's not. It's by Chicago standards. It's blazing hot.
It's balmy. All right, great. Now tell me, okay, so let's to get acclimated and to get our audience acclimated who we're speaking with, let's get some stats. Okay, so Nicole, tell us, are you married? Tell us about your situation.
Okay, I am 49. I have been with my husband for 20 years. We do not have children by choice. They do cost a lot.
Yeah, they don't go away.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
All right. And you live in Chicago.
And I live in Chicago. Well, between here and Miami.
There we go.
Love that.
All right. And so the Terrys, tell us about you.
I'll let my wife speak first. All right. So 48, raised here in Southwest Atlanta. I'm a senior leader in the corporate spaces by trade. Veteran, Marine Corps veteran, all that good stuff. So yeah, we've been married 6 years now. Blended family, 5 girls and 2 boys.
Ooh.
And yeah, with nice little Brady Bunch situation going on here.
5 girls and okay, so let me unpack that one for a second. So do you have children together, or are all the children have been blended from previous relationships?
Totally blended. So
Yeah.
so I got Kris by 2, 3. I forget. I can't count. I have 5 daughters. 5 daughters, and yeah, and so two boys, 2 bonus sons.
Yeah. So he literally had all the girls, and I have the boys.
Wow. That is, your house is not quiet.
Well, it worked out though. They got a little bit of both.
Well, they mostly grown and gone for the most part. So you know.
Okay.
Any grandkids yet?
Oh yeah, man. There's 3 of them.
Oh, okay. So you do have some growth.
Greatest surprise of life, right?
I can't wait until I get, you know.
You
Yeah, I never thought I'd say that.
You don't want the little ones to go.
Oh, no,
right?
yeah, I got the older one, that is. Let me choose those words
Little
carefully.
ones. Okay.
Yeah.
So before we get started, thank you all for providing all of the foundational info so we know who we're talking about. Okay, so before we go too far, we need to get some nomenclature straight so that we all know what terms we're using and making sure that we're using them correctly. I'm going to let Nicole jump in on this one because we need to know the definition of feminism and all the things that have been thrown around, especially by our dear friend Candace Owens. Yeah.
Again, I'm not the biggest Candace Owens fan, and
I'm not at all.
But I'm glad we have Nicole as our expert.
Okay, well,
I'm not an expert.
Oh yes, you are.
I am by far not an expert.
Okay.
But people who generally use Candace as a goalpost or guiding light for any sort of information has to realize that she conflates a lot of terminology. She twists a lot of actual facts look at what she did with the BLM movement, right? So when you said you can separate the message from the messenger, I actually disagree with you there because we know that this particular messenger is specific with how she twists and turns the truth around. So on that point, so when we discuss feminism, because she kept talking about radical feminism, and it's just such a made up terminology, right? So literally feminism is very, very simple. It is just believing that, women have the rights to be whole human beings and, have autonomy over themselves and, that they have the same opportunities and choices that men have. It's a very basic, simple ideology, right? When we talk about patriarchy, right, that's the government system or a system where the oldest male or the man in the family everything is inherited down. And when we talk about a patriarchal society, for many generations, that's what we dealt with, right? Like the oldest man would take the head of the household, and that's a lot of how we moved forward in our early foundation of our nation, right? And then when we discuss sexism is, when we're talking about traditional gender roles, stereotypes, and stuff like that. So I think what's happening is a lot of people are conflating all of these terminologies and sort of misrepresenting what they really are about. But feminism on its own, every single man alive should be a feminist, as should every single woman, just point blank. If you believe that women are whole human beings, you're a feminist, period.
I want to hear from, before I comment, I want to hear from
The Terrys.
Yep, the Terrys.
Well, I do agree that if you believe in equality for women, that male or female, it doesn't matter, that you should be a feminist. Everyone should have equal rights. But I do also believe that there's another sect of feminism where it's a little bit more extreme. And that's that sect where, we believe in equal rights, but we don't need a man. I can do it all by myself. And so that's where the extreme feminism for me comes in. It's a different sect of feminism.
Yeah, I'll add to that, right? So we're aligned, we're married. So there's the portion of how you employ feminism. So I agree with the fundamental definition that Nicole provided. But as we've seen over most years, and I have a unique perspective on how this country employs feminism, because I spent 6 years in Japan away from the United States, and I really noticed after being gone from 2000 to 2006, when I got back, how the country had kind of transformed in terms of employing feminism and how it was actually being applied. So I do prescribe to extreme feminism being part of the conversation. The other word I want to introduce to the conversation has to do with misandry, because misandry is part of the conversation, and that's almost like the fruit, if you will, or the characteristic of how it comes off, and how some of this extreme feminist behavior is coming off, how it's manifesting. It's manifesting as misandry. So we can talk about it. Of course, I got strong opinions about all this stuff. I think that's why our friend linked us up, because she's heard some of my talking points on it. So I think it's a very important conversation to have, especially when it comes to marriage, because we're so passionate about marriage, LaToya and I. So absolutely.
You want to weigh in? Any more? Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think you all both made very good points. I do think, I'll go on what Nicole said, I do think even the most chauvinistic man would say that a woman is a whole person. I hear people say that. It's almost condescending, because we know that you're a person. It is what it is.
Well, okay.
You're going to tap yourself on the shoulder or would you like to?
I'm not.
Would you like to jump in? I'm okay with it.
No, just go ahead. I'll let you.
All right,
I'll let you go before I tap in.
I'm okay with it.
Go ahead.
I'll say this, and I'll need 1 minute. When I first started my first job, we had this old racist white man who was a manager, his vice president. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Young Kris, life isn't fair, but nothing beats hard work." I didn't like him, but that was true. So in that vein, I can separate the message from the messenger. I think too many times, and I take this deeply, my community, black folks, we like somebody and then we're led into some BS because we like who said it. But every Sunday, if anybody goes to church, you look at a pastor or preacher who's lived a life normally way different than what they're telling you, right? So I'm not a big fan of Candace Owens. She said plenty of things that I just don't like. Doesn't make what she says untrue. And she is afforded an opinion, but it seems, and I will say this, and I think Ms. Terry said this. I believe in choice. As a man who's married with 3 daughters, I want my daughters to be able to choose if they want a career, they do that. If they want a husband, they do that. But I do think women are still underpaid, and I'm against that. There's some injustices that are still done because there's some industries where women are underpaid, right? But I do think, similar to brother Mr. Terry, Willie, I think we've overcorrected in some areas. And I'd be lying to say if I felt differently.
Can I speak on that real fast?
Go ahead.
Because you got me going a little bit, right? Because when we talk about feminism, and especially for you and I who have daughters, right? You know, you made me think about how because of the conversation, how I engage with my daughters, and what it's made me aware of is it's made me aware of how I teach and direct, or maybe counsel. I'm a consultant now at this phase for a lot of my daughters of age, except for one. And it's made me aware of paying attention to what direction they want to go and being clear and steering them in the direction that I feel like they're already traveling in terms of maybe being a traditional, if you will, woman or wife, or if they're more career focused and career dominant and they prioritize those things, right? So it's not rubber stamping them as young ladies and saying, hey, you know, you have to be a modern woman or you have to be a traditional woman. It's allowing the self-actualization process to happen on its own. And then you assist and guide and give language and credence to what it is, the path they're traveling down. So I just wanted to, you when you talk about them girls, man, it always stirs something up in you.
And I'm gonna tell you, father to father, girl dad to girl dad. I tell my girls, you know, think about what you want years before you want it. My youngest says she does she's one of the smartest. She wants to be a doctor, right? But I told her, you know, do you want to be married, kids? She said, yeah. I said, what type of man? I said, you want to work in a gas station? Or you want to be a pilot or a lawyer? Obviously. She values money. She values this. I said, well, you need to know what he wants. And there's nothing wrong with doing both. And when I finished the conversation, she said, to get the man I want, I'm gonna marry young. I don't want to be old trying to pick over dudes. So I'm gonna have to meet him. Smartest thing I've ever heard somebody say. I'm gonna have to meet him in med school. Because I want kids young, but I need a man making some money. So she's figured out that there's a give and take with that. It is. Okay. It is what it is.
What I think is so funny about this is you're like, it's the smartest thing I've ever heard anyone say. Because you feed it to her.
Because I know 50-year-old women who think, because, oh, Jesus, I'm going to go get Mr. 6'4", make $200,000, this, that, and the other, because I got a degree and some money. Well, guess what? A young girl needs to know what a man values if she wants that man. And unfortunately, we've told our little girls since they've been in the beauty shop, getting their hair done, you don't need a man. You'll get your own. Get your own. Well, I say that the most important in most people's lives is the person that they choose or their children. No one dies and says, what's on my tombstone? And I got to hear from Nicole.
I can talk a lot, Kris.
We're also a little far afield.
I got to be mindful of this, right? The most important thing you said right there to me, the most important part of the exchange for me, what you said right there is the word values. And this is if I had my daughters here right now, they would tell you about MVPs, morals, values, and principles, right? The thing that LaToya and I aligned on the most when we decided to come together and get married there wasn't conversations about how much money do you make a year, even though I do all right. It wasn't conversations about, you know, this, that, and the other. A lot of these conversations that we see on TikTok, social media, and otherwise, the very first things that we made sure we're aligned on is morals, values, and principles, what I call MVPs. So what happens is in a lot of and this is what I kind of talk to my daughters about, in our self-actualization process, you define your morals, values, and principles, and those are the things that you align on. So all the conversation about I want a high 6-figure man and all this other high value man and all this other stuff. Those are valid. Those are just you identifying your values, right? Your values. And if that person doesn't value that thing the same way you do, if it's not the top of their priority list, it doesn't make them right or wrong. That's what they value. You need to listen intently and decide if you are aligned on those values and principles. So for the girls, that's what, and the boys, that's what we talk to them about. It's like, hey, our values is our faith first and foremost, and then it's family. Everything else comes after that, because as we get older in age, you know what I'm saying, you start dealing with health issues and all this other stuff. You realize, hey, you know what I'm saying, you ain't gonna be the sexiest all day. You know what I'm saying, some stuff gonna start going south.
Absolutely.
You might lose your job.
So let's
let Nicole talk, because I refuted some stuff Nicole said, and I know she's over there with probably a couple of encyclopedias and some notes. But go ahead.
No, I agree that it ends up being about choice, but that's where we need to discuss, I think, going a little bit further into is feminism, that goes to the base of the whole show, right? Is feminism destroying relationships? Is it destroying marriages or relationships or whatnot? I think we are focusing on a lot of the wrong ish, like you said, a woman's looking for somebody 6'1" and makes 6 figures, and that's like what 0.15% of men or something, like really ridiculous, right? We because of social media have focused on a lot of aesthetic value. We put a lot of value on aesthetics as opposed to, like he said, morals, values, and principles. If those were the things that were really truly looked at, you wouldn't be with a guy who was 6'2" that looked a certain way, and he wouldn't be with a woman who just got a BBL and looked a certain way. So it goes to both sexes who are looking for the wrong things and then later complaining that they can't meet somebody.
Nicole, do you think feminism played a role in that? Because as I see it, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, I think we all agree that feminism started off as about choice, right?
Feminism started off as we want to be seen as a whole human being with choices.
I get that.
Who are equal to humans.
I mean, are you talking about the sexual revolution?
Has it? No, that's not what I'm saying. A person has a choice to do whatever they want to do. Sleep with 100 people. I don't care. The question is, do you think that somehow feminism cast a dim light on being feminine? And because as women did want to go in the workplace, I see why, but it also has sort of made women act like men because we are wired differently.
All right, let me address this really quick, because the concept of feminism we defined in the beginning of the show, right? Now, I think there are misinterpretations of feminism.
Do you think it's made women want to act like men?
Well, if you're misinterpreting feminism,
I'm asking you, so you don't think so.
Then I think maybe in some cases people have taken the concepts of feminism and misinterpreting the original definition.
Correct.
Well,
because we've been the same simple, dumb creatures since the beginning of the time.
Okay, but men also have to value women to the point where...
No, women value what they value. They value a man who's taller than them, who's stronger than them.
I'm talking about valuing women.
We do. We start wars over women.
Well, I know.
We always have.
You start wars over having sex with women.
Right.
No, we do not. We will. First off, this came up today. All men will probably sleep with a Cardi B, but we ain't marrying her. I did not say we simple and slow when it comes to that regard.
Well, did you see?
There's no argument.
Anyway,
Your Honor, there's no argument from the bench. But I'm saying,
right.
Do you think there's some women, because women do have to act or take on more traditional masculine traits in corporate America, but I don't think it translates to them. We've had women on this show, Gina, and we ask them, what do you bring to the table? And they always start with, well, I have this and I have my degree and I have this money. What has anyone told them? Men, the man they want, the men that most women want, will marry a woman with nothing.
Well, but here's the thing. So women...
Oh, so you're talking about unintelligent men who do not value... You're talking about, again, men who value aesthetics only.
I didn't say that. I said men.
You did just say that.
Let me give you a quote. If you want to work with something, I'll give you the quote, and you can write it down. You can shoot holes in it, all you want. Men with character, not your athlete that just became a millionaire, somebody who's worked his way up, or just a man who makes an average salary, but he's a man with character and values. He devalues. He will not marry a promiscuous woman. So, if you want to quote, go with that. And one of the issues, while women can't get the man they want, men devalue that. We like things nobody's ever had. Women, for thousands of years, really, they might say they do, but they'll deal with it easier than a man. And if you want to get into...
Well, that's because male have fragile egos.
No. It's because they cheat more.
Because men really have fragile egos. Men cannot deal with their own sexuality and how women would actually... There's a content creator who just the other day said if men really heard how women talk about them...
Before the advent of birth control, if I'm sitting in the village, right? There's 10 men and 10 women around, and there's one very promiscuous woman. She gets pregnant.
What village are we talking about?
We don't know whose kid that is.
What village is this?
Right, I'm like, this is
what village is this? What anthropology class have you not taken where you are pulling all of this out of?
First off, I'm going to tell you right now, men devalue promiscuous women. Let's just keep that down.
That is your opinion.
Men devalue promiscuous women. Let me tell you this. Do women have preferences? Now, I know they vary, but in general, Nicole, yes or no, do women have preference? Do they want a man who's not broke? Most women?
Well,
that's a yes or no question.
Yes, of course.
So hold
on, you're not getting tripped up, Nicole. Do most women want a man who has some money, some resources?
I think
it's a yes or no
resources.
question.
Yes, resources, yes.
So men don't give a fuck about that. We just don't care. No, it's a plus. It's a plus, but it's never the reason. It's never the reason. We are different. You need most women like a man taller than them. We usually don't care.
This is where we
has made. All right.
You're trying to tell me men don't have a right to have preferences?
Yes, men have a right to have preferences. But you talk about women you're talking about women being more masculine in the workplace.
They are.
Okay, but let's talk about the reasons why. Okay, so I will always take it back to reasons. Okay, but yes, it does. It does matter. Let me tell you why.
But you do acknowledge, so you do think they're more masculine.
Okay, what I'm saying is that there are traits that women have to take on in order to be successful at work, and they needed to take those traits on because they need to feed their families. Because what has happened is a lot of men have left women high and dry, and then they need to support themselves and their families.
I agree.
And so what ends up happening is, in order to be successful, in order to be taken serious in the workplace, a lot of women take on the traits that they see. Who do they see that's successful? Usually that's men.
I got it.
Okay?
I'm with you.
And so we can't then be vilified for taking on traits that will make us successful, in your opinion.
It works.
Right?
No, absolutely. You should be a killer. You should be a shark. You should be a beast. You should be a tyrant, a titan.
Because men don't value things in the workplace that women would naturally bring.
No, because a lot of those women, not all.
They're going to be emotional.
No, and here's why. Because a lot of those women make bad wives. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Well, a lot of them are married.
I agree. But more than not are not.
Well, okay. I'm an executive recruiter, so I'm the person to ask.
Right. I want to know where these statistics are coming from.
First off, ain't too many of anybody married, Nicole.
Nicole,
ain't too many of anybody married. Let's just put that out there. So that you just want to disagree.
I really like to look at data.
What do you mean
I like to look at data.
How many people are married? How many black women? What percent of black women you think are married? So what I'm saying is true. Let's just get that shit out there.
Do we have a percentage? What is your stat? You
Let's
have
look
stats.
it up. Let's look it up.
He's gonna look it up.
What you said?
You go to blackdemographics.com. But
I want 1 out of 4. Let's look it up.
What is Willie? You say what? I hear Willie.
Let's
trying to make a point. In the meantime,
I like things like my wife would tell you. I like things kind of sequential. Like so, to Kris's point, I would agree that men will sleep with, but not marry promiscuous women. That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like the age-old euphemism that's undefeated. You can't turn into a, you know what I'm saying? Like it's undefeated. So I'd agree with that concept. But how does that impact overall feminism? Are we having a conversation about promiscuity and sexual liberation? Are we having a conversation about you know what I'm saying, equal rights in the workplace. It's the conversation is so nuanced. I think we probably could, like, you know what I'm saying, park it
We
on
could
one.
break this show up into like 5 segments.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if we're
because
talking about right.
yeah, it's so nuanced. Like, I'm in the corporate spaces, especially here in the ATL spaces. It's dominated primarily by women, particularly here, Black women, and a lot of them do carry masculine traits, and I understand why. Like, they have to be in those spaces, but I also think there's a little bit more strategic design with that, right? It's not by accident that we're in the situation that we're in terms of who they place in those positions in a lot of those corporate spaces, because there's a familiarity, especially when you put people in positions of leadership and they have to lead other Black people. Like, they understand it's about respectability politics and putting people in a position where, I'll give you an example. A lot of times in the corporate spaces, our leadership they'll have a lot of our women in leadership because they know, hey, there's a familiarity there. Not that they haven't earned it, but they know, hey, if I need to keep the younger or the Black people in order, they know, hey, somebody's gonna be a little bit more, you know what I'm saying, cooperative in those spaces, and they're gonna enforce respectability politics in those spaces, right? So it's a whole conversation to have around, you know what I'm saying, what part of, I don't think that part of it is wrong, though. I think it's a choice that, hey, if you want to be a career woman and that's what you value, do that. The question is feminism compatible? Today's definition of feminism, is it compatible with marriage? And for me, I say absolutely not. It doesn't align with the values and principles,
especially the men that they want.
Yeah.
You know, because you get so many women saying, oh, I want a man who's doing this, and I want a man who's doing that, and I want a man who I can follow and be this with. Let that man come. The woman that they choose, because 85% of brothers are married. And let's just take the 25 to 40 millennials, even though more are in prison. There are 10,000 more brothers making over $100,000. 85% of them who get married, marry sisters. What they're marrying, though, Gina B, and this is where feminism misses the mark. 2 things. Number 1, it only looks at things from a woman's perspective. Marriage, for anybody who's gone to anybody's church, is about sacrifice, and your happiness is just as important to me, and your happiness has to be, and it doesn't keep score. And
Kris, what values did you choose in your wife?
I'm sorry?
What values did you choose in your wife?
First off, I'm exceptional. I don't represent everybody, but I'll let you know. Trust and loyalty were number 1. I don't like promiscuous women. Hoes cheat more. They out there. I don't like it. And I can show you, Nicole, you always want numbers. If you take a very promiscuous woman and a very promiscuous man, I'll send you the study. She will cheat or file for divorce at twice the rate of the man. You can't make them happy.
I'm calling cap, Kris.
No, you ain't. Not on me.
If you qualify this as a value, the very first thing you didn't value in her was.
I said my. Let him talk.
Wait, did you hear my first? Did you hear what I said? Trust the Lord.
No, I heard what you said, but I'm having a little.
She finding a motherfucker, but other than that,
that's what I want to get to, brother. Come on, bro. We got to keep it 100.
Is she masculine at work? Is your wife masculine at work?
Hell yes.
Okay.
But again, I always, and I said this, and I commented when you were talking. Nobody is really old-fashioned or modern completely. I'm not either.
Because we don't.
Because I respect a woman who's out working and doing what she wants to do. But the problem is, most women in her position, because she probably makes what's in the 0.005% of Americans. She still knows how to make a man. She knows what a man likes. And feminism only give a fuck about women's preferences.
No, because so that's
you're conflating the definition again, right?
No,
it's a misinterpretation.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's a misinterpretation.
Yeah, it gets hard. Like when you say it's hard to digest when you say straight up feminism. Like when it's extreme feminism, borderline into misandry. And I even said it earlier, right? I said feminism is not compatible with marriage. When extreme feminism, meaning that it's just not, you cannot negotiate with it. You can't compromise like we have to do in marriage. And especially misandry, that is not compatible with marriage. Feminism in itself, by definition, and how we defined it early, absolutely. You cannot be a husband and not be an advocate of women. Something happened. Quick story. Something happened was it last week in our family? And I saw something on TV, and I was so broken up by. I saw something that said, a lady said on TV that she loves being a mother on Facebook, and she hates being. She hates being a mother. She hates being a mother. And she loves her children. And my wife would tell you that messed me up for like a day and a half, because in my mind as a man, it never registered to me that women in their responsibilities as being a mom, being a woman in today's society, all these things. And I'm not a male extreme feminist or misandrist. I'm not one of them or a simp or nothing like that. I'm just a human being. I empathize with, and I've never in the moment have I never more empathized in that moment for a section. We had a whole conversation about it. And I'm like, and she was like, you won't let it go. And I'm like, because it hit me like a ton of, what if my mom felt like that at any moment? She was overwhelmed and felt like that about me.
Okay, so I have to cut you off for a second for the sake of time, but okay, so being a mother doesn't make you a woman. Being a woman doesn't make you, you know what I mean? So I don't have children by choice because I don't think I'd be happy being a mother.
They cost a lot.
They do. Not only that, but like the things required to be a mother aren't things that I'm necessarily geared toward, right? And I know this about myself. I don't think that I'm less of a woman because of it. There are some women that have unfortunately gotten into motherhood and it's not their thing. It's not how. You know, it's unfortunate. We have a lot of people, like, motherhood is a choice that should not be taken lightly. So that's one. The second point that kind of speaks back to the point that you were making earlier is that, all right, let me just give you an example. So there are Christians, right? Okay?
Best marriages
there are Christians. You want to see some crazy shit? Find the fundamentalist Christians, okay? Because fundamentalist anything in any religion, I challenge you to find me sanity in fundamentalist, whatever the fuck it is. Okay, so
are they sitting around talking about your
No. Listen. So my whole point here is that you have feminists, and then you have people taking the shit way too far, right? So. Right. If we're looking at like the fundamentalist, like the version of like feminism is simply plainly stated, as we talked about in the very beginning, it's thinking of a woman as a whole person who
and she should be able to
who has their own. Exactly.
And make the money,
right?
same money.
And make the same money. Okay, fine.
I am big on women not making any money.
But we are people. Okay,
but that's
so
not what it is,
but black people were at some point thought of as 3/5 of a person, right? So what did we want? We wanted equality. We wanted to be thought of as a whole people, right? Did we not want that? Am I wrong?
So Kris, is your wife a feminist at work?
I don't think she's a feminist at all. But
yes, she is.
No, she recognized. Hold on.
How do you think she got the job? You know, feminism got her the job.
Again, I think, and again, my oldest daughter, I will tell you, full ride to UFC master's degree, Northwestern, all that.
She's very accomplished.
And I champion that. And she will tell you that this dude here is a monster when it comes to coaching women. However, I also told that same child, if you want a husband, right, and the dude just asked my permission, right,
you supposed to be talking about
that you have, whatever you do for school ain't got shit to do with this relationship shit. You need to know what a man values in a relationship if you want one. Every woman doesn't want one. But the problem a lot of sisters are having is they weren't told, they haven't seen a good relationship. They will say what they know. And they will, to your point, Nicole, they will warp what feminism is. And I've seen women who ain't got a shithead daddy or no daddy, ain't never seen a positive relationship, and are quick to tell a man, well, this is what a man needs to do. He needs to pay for all of it.
That's not feminism.
Again,
that's what we
it's
need
not
to
all.
clearly state, right? We need
again,
to
but I'm
That's not
saying,
feminism.
But
Yeah.
they think it is. So
That's
They can think it is. It's like white people think that certain things aren't racist, but we all know it's racist, you know.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But it has morphed into on some levels, not all, some man-hating shit.
That's
Because
why we.
case in point.
No.
Case in point.
That's dysfunction. That's not feminism.
We've had
Right,
people on this
exactly.
show who've called me shallow because I will ask those women what they like in a man. They'll name all this stuff, right? And I'm thinking to myself,
They would call you shallow.
shout out to the
Who
new.
are those
Hold on,
people?
shout out to Kevin Samuels. These women would be the average height and weight of a sister. 5'4", 190. But wait, if that man who has $200,000 a year, 6'4", the best fucking catch ever says, oh hell no. Oh, he's shallow. He's this. He's intimidated. No, he don't like your loud mouth. He don't, because in relationships, you have to recognize, I don't care what women say. They can have whatever they want. They can sleep with 200 men. But that man that you want, he ain't putting no ring on your finger. It's your choice. Just like I learned at 16, women like guys who got something. The girls I like wanted a car. What did I do? I got a part-time job at 7-Eleven. So I can get a goddamn car. Women think they ain't got to do shit these days.
Well,
But
okay.
be there.
I mean, Cardi B's married. I don't know how well
She's
that's.
filing for divorce. He couldn't deal with that hoe.
Well, he was cheating on her.
Actually,
So
she's
what? I would've
taking
had
all the
to.
money. She's taking all the money.
She's
So,
a
so,
rat.
so let's call it.
It's
Let's call
mostly
it.
her money.
You can call her whatever you want.
He's the dumb person
Right.
in that
Well,
relationship.
bottom line is
He's the dumb person
He
because
proposed to her and had children
I
with her.
agree. He's the dumbest one in that relationship.
I mean, look.
He got on one knee and proposed to a hoe.
Well,
He's stupid
why
as
do you
fuck.
guys do it? That's all
call
I'm
it
I
what
agree, and men aren't the simple. I would
But none of
admittedly
this-
say
none of
we're
this. None of this is feminism.
So call
None
it what
of
it
it.
is. Let's
None.
call it misandry. It's straight up misandry. It comes in under the guise of feminism. A lot of women may call it feminism, what they're trying to employ, but it's extreme feminism and or misandry. We got to stop.
Well, I don't even think extreme feminism is an appropriate term. It's misogyny, plain and simple.
Well, it has to be misandry. We can't have it. We can't be in between two worlds. It has to be the part that Kris is talking about is straight up misandry. When you're going so hard in the paint to be anti-man, you know what I'm saying? Anti-men.
Right, that's not extreme feminism. That is like
That's
you
why I
said.
said let's call it
yeah.
misandry.
Yeah, exactly.
we got a couple questions. I want to hit a couple questions, and then Nicole brought up a great point. I even hate giving you credit a little bit, Nicole, but she brought up a great point. And
Offset is a hoe.
Willie and I keep going at what it's this offshoot. I want to read a couple comments from our guests, and then Nicole, I have some straight as an arrow qualms that I have with regular feminism, and I want you to and Willie and Terry to address. Miss Terry to address in a second. But first, Mina says, shout out to you. Thanks for coming to my birthday party. Yay.
And thank you for introducing us to the
Yeah, exactly. Mina says, so Kris is saying that men don't value feminism in relationships, marriage, as an absolute for all women. Mina, I'm going to tell you this. Any man who's ever gotten married, and this is any woman dating, this is for you. Just like women like a man with something, men really like a good man likes taking care of something. He call him up and say you got a flat tire. He's going to come run over there. So men do value you, and they value choices. But they also, and I will tell all women, unlike women, men don't want gifts. You ain't got to buy me shit. We want affection. We want respect. And we want to feel needed. We want to feel needed.
Wait, hold up. Again, you are generalizing. There are ways that different men receive and give love.
You can't even speak to this because you're not a man. Don't women say that? You can't
No.
speak to this.
But you're generalizing. You're generalizing. You're generalizing.
I'm telling you what men like. You married, go ask your
not all
husband and
men.
ask him this. Do you want respect? Do you want to feel needed and wanted? And do you want to feel like you valued around here? And he's going to say yes. If he doesn't, I'll send you $100
Well, that's what
tonight.
I want too.
But no, women like shit.
But I also
No,
want
We don't need that.
valued around the house.
We don't need
I
that.
don't. I don't receive love by gifts. I do not like gifts. I don't need things bought for me. Anytime I need something, I buy it myself.
Gifts, honey, if you're
I won't get caught up with that. But here are the issues I have against traditional feminism. And I wrote them. I took some notes.
Chris
I
got
knew
a list.
The textbook definition of feminism.
Nicole, give us the textbook definition real quick again.
No, these are the issues you have with the textbook.
No, I'm gonna tell you. Number one, it is for women. I feel, and this is nothing to do with men. So again, this is nothing to do with me.
All right.
I think this is where it jacks things up. I think it has morphed into something that has women acting like men. And Gina B, there is a trade if you choose to be a corporate woman, right? Because usually those women, it's 5. They forego the years that the most desirable men want you. They forego the most desirable men that if they want to be married, that those men want, because we do get down on one knee and we ask you. So it doesn't tell them that. And so it's a power trade. They've traded in a corner office, but I keep saying that they lose their feminine power. Number 2, I think some women, it's made women pretend. I think there are a lot of women who, when they're young, they want to be married. They think of this guy they want to marry. And I think if it doesn't happen, they start saying, no, I never wanted to be married. I'm good by myself. I think, and men do this too in other areas. Oh, I never wanted to be a millionaire. People with money are unhappy. So I think people will resign themselves to the condition they're in. And I think feminism does that and prevents people from being open and honest. I think it's killed courtships because, as I said, a woman is free to do what she wants. But if she wants a husband, she should know that the man that most women want, he doesn't like hookup culture. A man will hook up with 50 women. He will propose to the more virtuous one that was harder to get the ass. But feminism said, shit, he fucked 10 women on the first night. You can
That's
too.
not what feminism says.
It believes in choices, and that's a bad fucking choice.
That's not. Well, that believes in choices, but okay, that's a bad choice. But that's not a bad choice that is instilled by feminism.
I guarantee you, somebody pops up with a fucking comment
how many
that
more
says,
you got,
"Oh, men
Chris?
can be hoes too." Yes, we can.
Well, that's a stupid choice for men too.
It is, but we can be hoes and still get a virtuous
here's the
wife.
thing. There are
Because
stupid people.
For thousands of years, Gina, women, for thousands of years, I don't care if I'm the richest dude around. It doesn't matter who I fuck. Women have decided that, not men. I can go get the most virtuous. I can go get a doctor. I can get whoever I want. I didn't decide that. Women made that choice.
And
Chris, would your marriage be better if your wife quit her job and let you take care of her and support her?
I think so, but that ain't happening.
She would think so.
But I mean, you're ignoring. 3 of us here are all working women.
It's working.
Who, right? I mean, what part of feminism? That's what I'm saying. Do you want us to just stay at home, not work, not
recognize? I think feminism. My issue is with feminism. The biggest issue I have is we're fucked up in the black community for the breakup of the nuclear family. Okay. People are not getting together.
That's
like,
not
like
feminism.
Latoya and Willie.
That did that.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's not feminism that did that.
That's a lie. Whatever.
It isn't.
It isn't.
There's women out here who think, they come on this show, Jane, I don't know how you say this, and I ask you, why should that man want you? And the first thing they spout off is their damn career. Something has them thinking.
That's not feminism, though.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
It's not.
Feminism. Did you hear the definition at the beginning of the show? Did you hear it?
Feminism ain't what it was when it started.
Okay, so.
You can look it up now.
Capitalism and racism are what broke up the nuclear family in the black community. Capitalism and racism, period.
No,
not feminism.
True. Early 1900s, you know who had the highest percentage of people married? Black folks. You know who had the fewest kids
Capitalism
out of wedlock? Black
and
folks.
racism.
And they were way more racist then, Nicole. That's shut down. That's not it.
That was also because
that's not it.
Still.
Here's
right.
what happened. Birth
Capitalism
control came out in 1960 something, and women decided I could fuck 30 men. But you know what? I don't take bitches out to eat. I don't take them out to eat if I already fucked. I was taking them out. I was courting them.
Why are you screaming?
Because I'm passionate.
Oh.
I believe in the black family.
About all the wrong things.
Believe in the black.
I believe in the black family.
That is not it. That
I
is
believe
not
in the
it.
black family.
I have to agree with
That is
Nicole
not
on
it.
that one, bro. Like racism, and
Were they more
Capitalism.
let me cite something for
Were
you.
they more
Around,
racist to both of you in early 1900
Well,
or now?
let me cite something for you that was equally probably more problematic and directly impacted black families than birth control. Birth control, I don't know, but this is
Negligible.
This is directly connected to black families. The Welfare Reform Acts of the 60s and 70s directly impacted black families. That is a institutional, systemic racist strategy to divide black families, to say, hey, if you want these food stamps, oh boy can't be in the house. Now,
Correct.
The pill, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Question: were they more racist in 1900 or 2023?
2023.
But listen, in early back then, we didn't have kids out of wedlock.
Well, let me tell you what my father would tell you.
We didn't
He
have
was
no kids
97.
out of wedlock.
My father was 97 years old. What my father would tell you is that things actually got worse for black people
Goddamn right.
at the end of segregation.
Hell
because
yeah.
because when black people were segregated, they were supporting each other. They were supporting their own communities. When there was desegregation, that kind of broke shit up. So that's the opinion of someone who's almost 100.
Jamie, let me ask you this. You're a co-host on this.
I am the co-host.
Do you think that those women who want to be married, do you think they know what the preferences of men are?
You keep going back to this, Chris, and it's not really about that.
I can't just ask a question.
It's not about that.
For the record, I would like to say I asked Gina to be a yes or no question, and she told me it was not about that.
It is not.
Because you're generalizing.
Because the whole point of this show is feminism destroying dating and marriage.
Goddamn right.
Okay, I think that when people meet, okay, men and women meet.
Yeah.
You meet people.
Feminism is not about the happiness of two people. Relationships are.
Okay.
That's how we should have started the show.
Well, but one really.
Feminism doesn't
always
give a
have a lot
fuck
to do
about
with
the
the
other
other.
sex, does it? Does feminism
Yes,
give
because
Yes.
what feminist have you ever heard of that says I need men to be happy over here? They don't.
well, because you're ignoring the fact that feminism actually helps men, because now men can be whole emotional beings, right? But when we talk about here's another terminology I know you're going to twist, but toxic masculinity, which I'm sure you don't understand. All that means is certain aspects of masculinity are toxic, right?
There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. Everything
Okay,
is toxic.
so also men can't cry. Men shouldn't
cry
cry.
all the
Men
time.
shouldn't show their.
Hold on.
That-
Tasha Levy.
so
Hold on. Mrs.
Do you
Crystal
agree or
Critic,
not agree then?
Tasha Levy, if you were watching, could you text in and say which one of us cries the most during movies? It is me. But
Okay.
I'm telling you. But the problem is.
So toxic masculinity is saying that as a man, you can't cry. So you are literally agreeing with me because you don't understand the terminology you are using.
I'm disagreeing with you because I had a father in my house who showed emotion, and I did, and I seen he was
That's
a masculine. Listen, hold on, he didn't curse, he didn't drink, he didn't. I
All
curse.
the things you're doing right
all
here.
the shit I do right now. However, he was quick to grab you by the collar if you got out of line. He was quick to tell you if you raised your voice at a woman. But he was a man. He didn't play.
Yeah.
He didn't play all this old alphabet soup ass games.
Yeah.
He was a man, and men protect. And that masculinity that you're calling toxic protects everybody.
No.
And
The
I
part
have
that I
a
am
problem
talking
with
toxic,
any woman because I've never used the word. I've never used the word femininity being toxic. See, I don't like women.
No,
I'm
because
gonna tell you.
You know why?
I don't
Because
give a
you know
what
why?
you say.
You use the word feminati. That's why you don't use toxic femininity.
Well, because it's not toxic. That men and women make the world
feminati
run.
No.
is a good term?
I'm saying
Saying
masculinity
that-
is toxic. You should be thankful for all the masculinity in this country.
You're not. Nobody said masculinity in
You said it was
itself is
toxic. I have
toxic.
a problem with
There
it.
are
now we know that
aspects
Kris
of
Gina.
it.
Hold on.
Hello.
Let's look at the comment.
Aspects.
Highlight it.
All right, Nicole.
Wait a minute, let's
let
look at
Nicole make her point. And Kris cries.
Aspects
Kris cries-
of
Kris cries all the
masculinity.
time.
She said Kris cries.
There you go. Y'all see it? All the time.
She don't know. She said Kris
Okay.
cries.
But what you're saying is a man, if you are talking about traditional masculine values, right? Men are not supposed to show their emotion. So do you agree or disagree with that?
Daddy, a lot of these dudes ain't got daddies. I don't know if you do or not, but men
Agree or
will tell
disagree?
other men.
Agree or disagree? Are men allowed to show emotion? Yes or no?
I am. I do. I cry.
There. Thank you.
For
You've
the
made
men.
my point. You made my
said
point.
I
Thank
do.
you.
I
Thank
think
you.
men.
Thank
I
you.
think men.
So
I think men with horrible dads don't know shit. I think women and most black people ain't got no daddy in the house. That's why 85% of the people in prison are in fatherless homes. We are missing.
Actually,
goddamn it, hold on.
Field.
Y'all ain't about to just shit on men and me tell y'all.
No.
Talking about men
The
right now.
The stats actually on that, out of all the races, black men spend more time with their children, even if they are out of wedlock, than white or Latino or Asian fathers.
All men, Nicole.
Just FYI.
All men, Nicole.
go ahead, baby.
You
Go
were
ahead.
pouring your own.
My wife trying to make a point.
No, I wanted to actually.
My father, Toya, we
Okay,
just,
shush.
that
No, I
Nicole
just
triggered
want
me.
to about the question that you initially asked about if relationships are ruined because of femininity, and I don't think anybody answered that. Feminism. I don't think anybody answered that on the panel. It kind of took another direction, and I did want to speak on that topic. So I don't necessarily think that relationships are destroyed because of feminism. I do, however, think that they're destroyed when both partners don't realize that they're equal partners. Now, being equal doesn't mean that we have equal roles, but the role that we play in the relationship, we're equal, and speaking to what my husband's strengths are, speaking to what my strengths are, and then using those to allow our relationship to grow. I think that that's where a lot of relationships don't make it, not necessarily because of extreme feminism or feminism, but most times it's because, both of the partners are not producing the results that they want because they're not realizing that their roles are equal. It might be different, but the roles are equal and you're trying to get to the same goal. So I don't necessarily think that femininity is what destroys it.
Willie, you got lucky. Willie, that was well
Okay,
spoken.
let's let Willie.
I agree with all of what she said. I have nothing to add to Latoya.
So watch this. This is the thing this is why I wanted my wife to speak, because I know my wife. One of the very first things I discovered about my wife when we got married, one of the things that drew me to her is, and I didn't have language for it at the time, was that she was not a misandrist. I'm not going to call it feminism because we keep confusing the few terms, right? She wasn't a misandrist. She wasn't one that had to fight for a space or something like this. And she can ask you what she asked me when we were dating, what are my deal breakers? I told her, I said, I never want to have to ever fight for my position, my God ordained position in my home. I need somebody, I need a partner. I have a vision. We're going somewhere. I never want to have to fight for that position. That was one of the very first conversations we had. But I want to take what she said a step back. When you're married, before you even get married, and I think Kris is talking about this in a different language, self-actualization is self-realization is so important for you individuals, because if you don't know who you are, you can't come into a relationship and be able to establish healthy boundaries inside that relationship. And so then you end up comparing and competing. And this, more than anything, is what's happening with men and women, these young men, old men in relationships. They're comparing and competing. And the lowest form of relationships, study, and this is what Mina really wanted me to talk about. I know her. She really wanted me to talk about symbiotic relationships, because this is the revelation of my life. if you study symbiosis and symbiotic relationships, you realize that mutualism, which is what my wife is describing, is the highest form of relationship. It's not about I'm a man, you know, I take out the garbage, you a woman, you stand in the kitchen to cook. It's not about 50-50. It's about whatever is mutually benefiting for each party, right? And that's what I strive for in my marriage. I strive for mutualism in the relationship, in the marriage. And that's the highest form. I don't want her to ever feel like, hey, you're getting the bad end of the deal in this relationship.
Exactly. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, okay, so let me just make everyone conscious of time. We're at this point. So we're gonna
we have part 3 next week.
We're gonna have to probably have part next week.
I need the input of Miss Terry and Nicole.
Okay.
Again, you were supposed to stop me from talking so much. It's your fault.
Look, what was I supposed to hit you in the head with the whiskey
Willie
bottle?
talk as much as I do. It's your fault.
She's supposed to use toxic femininity and hit you over your head to stop you from talking.
Which was about to happen.
She didn't do that, did she?
Which is about to happen right now.
I told y'all.
It's going to happen right now. So, okay. We are going to wrap.
But wait,
we do have Satiro here. We're going to do one.
That's
one.
My man
that's
right
it.
There, right,
and that's
right,
all.
That's my dude.
He says, why does feminism have to be about the correction of men?
That's all.
Take care of women and their dysfunctions. That's not really what this is, Satirial. Okay?
Right.
But feminism does talk about that.
But we're not.
No, not the definition.
No, that's not what it is.
I know, but Nicole and Gina B, but more for you. How many times have we had the feminazi on the show?
So once again,
they're not right.
I'm not a perfect man. I'm gonna call out feminazi for these toxic ass feminists. It ain't no such thing. But I'm saying it's a joke. But how many times have we had women on here that says, "Well, men need to do this"? All the time.
Well, that's because whatever.
And so what he's saying is, why do men have to be corrected?
Well,
feminism isn't about correction.
Part of being seen as whole people mean that people have to be on board with it, and half of those people are men.
Can I say a closing remark before we leave?
Yeah, we did. You got 30 seconds.
So I thought about this. I thought about this a lot, and especially before the show. Right. To me, as a man, I know we have these subjects, these conversations about feminism, extreme feminism, and misandry. I don't look at it in a negative light, right? Because I value marriage so much, and I believe that the people are supposed to be married and sustain marriage long term. Those are the people that should be married. So when you carry on misandrous and extreme feminism traits, those are just alerts. We as men just need to learn the language of women like that. And if you don't value that, you need to learn how to listen. And once you get past the T&A, right, and you hear stuff like that, don't select them. It's helping you out, is what I'm saying. It's not a negative thing. So teach our young men to listen. Because if you believe it's not conducive for marriage, learn to listen to the language of it. I'm a bad this, all the language that they use, and don't select.
Okay, agree. Okay, so we are and on that note, we are done. We're gonna bring them back. We're gonna do another round of this because this is a trailing conversation.
For the audience here, listen. For the audience here, I'm not gonna lie. Nicole brings up. We didn't let her get her roll on. But I brought up some very good points. And I want to submit, she kind of whooped my ass online a little bit. But I ain't scared of you, Nicole. But we need to have Nicole back because I felt like
we will.
Her and Miss Terry didn't really. I mean, we and Willie talked to
y'all.
But Willie, you felt me, Willie.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, okay. So while we're over,
I'm pro-marriage.
So thank you to our guests, first of all. The Terrys, where can we find you? You have a YouTube channel. Is it Terry On Demand?
That's it. We hyping it up. We're going to do Terry On Demand. My wife doing her thing, marriage, family, finance, the whole nine.
So anybody who's interested in hearing more from Willie and LaToya, go and check that. Nicole will be on Facebook getting kicked off.
Workout Logic on Instagram.
Oh, you don't have a book?
Do not.
Nicole is like real smart for real.
She's a really great poster, so follow her.
Even though we think differently, Nicole, I do think you are just in the battle. You saw the cold.
That's why she's here.
I mean,
That's why we asked her to be here.
Listen,
we don't invite dummies to the show.
Hold on. If my wife is watching, delete that Kris cries. I still got an ego. But listen, Gina and I will touch the post, right?
Yeah.
Gina has her hair done today. She obviously has somewhere to go. Ain't nobody here in the studio next.
Got places to go.
We're gonna do part 3.
Yes, we will.
We gotta do part 3, and because I've gotten good comments. By the way, I don't know where you all are, Willie and LaToya, but I got texts. I got texts about their house. People are like, wow, their fireplace is nice. Look at that.
That's a television screen, but it's cool.
No, they said they said. They're like, wow, that's live. They got this over the fireplace. So shout out to wherever y'all doing.
All right, let's wrap. All right, everyone, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
I don't know where you got to go, but you rushing my guest. Next week.
Kris.